when it will be very, very painful for that community that is going to hear a message that they are not full people. For those, should it go the other way, who have strong, deep felt convictions about how they interpret scripture, it is going to be very painful because our spiritual
renewed homosexuality. I'm Danielle Pryor in Orlando.
A House healthcare panel has approved a bill to allow Florida dentists to qualify for up to $250,000 in student loan repayments if they agree to work in public health programs or underserved areas. Loan repayments would be available to dentists who are willing to practice in public health or in areas of the state that lack dental professions or are medically underserved. Florida Dental Association's Joanne Hart says the legislation is a priority.
That bill would encourage and incentivize dentists to go into underserved areas and work as a full-time Medicaid provider to treat those in these underserved areas. They would work in county health departments and community health centers.
The bills would limit to 10 the number of dentists who could benefit each year under the program. You're listening to WUSF 89.7, and it's 5:06.
Things considered from NPR News. I'm Mary Louise Kelly.
And I'm Ari Shapiro. President Trump is on his way to Vietnam with North Korea about nuclear weapons on the Korean Peninsula. Meanwhile, here in Washington, Democrats will use a full set of tools policy.
That hearings to make a coalition to try to house their emergency wall on the border with Mexico.
NPR congressional reporter Kelsey Snell joins us from Capitol Hill to talk more about that vote. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi there.
So the House is voting on a resolution of disapproval, which sounds very prim. Explain how that works.
So Congress has the ability to shut down any official executive action like the one Trump is using, and they're going to try to do that starting this week. In this particular situation, the House is planning to go first with a vote on Tuesday. And so because Democrats control the House, they control the schedule, and that is why they're going first. This isn't like any normal bill, though. If it passes the House, and we really do expect that it will, the Senate will be forced to vote on it within a couple of weeks. And there, Democrats will need at least 4 Republican votes to get it to pass.
Okay, so that's the
is the only Republican who says she'll vote for the disapproval, though we have heard Lisa Murkowski of Alaska saying that she's leaning towards voting for disapproval as well. Now, you mentioned that Majority Leader Mitch McConnell supports this. Well, he didn't before, and he has a lot of his ownership group who were really skeptical of using a national emergency, and some of them even criticized it, but they seem to be backing away. You know, and the thing that I think is really important for people to understand is that even if they have the votes now, Trump says he'll veto this, and they would need a whole lot more. They would need 67 senators total to overturn a veto.
Yeah, we hear powerful House Chairman Elijah Cummings talking about that in another part of the program. Do you think that there are the votes to override a veto?
Well, in the House, it's really hard to say, because right now, Democrats are basically the ones leading the way on this. They have enough of their in the House, and they were looking to some moderate Republicans to come on board because really both parties have generally agreed they don't want any president encroaching on Congress's powers, and spending money is Congress's big power. But even some of the moderates are shifting. Take Adam Kinzinger from Illinois. He's worked with Democrats on immigration before, and he's really not a hardliner, and he was just deployed to the border in Arizona as part of his duty as a lieutenant in the Air National Guard. But yesterday, he was on CBS's Face the Nation, and he said he's prepared to support Trump on this.
If this was just about immigration, I would disagree. I do think this is a security threat. It's a security threat with the amount of drugs coming over the border and the human trafficking that I've seen.
And you know, that's the justification that I'm hearing from most Republicans.
This is such a contrast with what we heard from Republicans in the weeks leading up to the emergency declaration, where so many of them said, if we allow President Trump to do this, then any future Democratic president can declare a national emergency on climate change or gun violence. It doesn't sound like that line is getting much traction this week.
No, it really isn't. And you know, Trump himself is pressuring a lot of Republicans on this. He tweeted the path of weak and ineffective border security. He went on to talk more about that, but in the end, I think it's really important to note both parties really think that this issue is destined to be decided not in Congress, but in the courts.
NPR's Kelsey Snell, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Last week, President Trump announced that 400 U.S. troops will remain in Syria. This after vowing last year to bring all 2,000 U.S. service members there home. Now the question is, who will stay with them? The remaining American troops are meant to be part of an international observer force supported by the British and the French, and it is not clear yet whether those countries will shrink their presence along with the U.S. For more on will it work? What are you hearing?
First of all, this announcement comes after a lot of noise made by the UK and France about the initial US announcement about withdrawal, because they basically said if the US leaves, then they're not going to stay there on their own and continue the battle.
Right. Now the US is not leaving, but not staying in full force either.
Yeah, so basically this is, to me, it seems like a compromise solution presented by President Trump, keeping 400 troops, but reportedly wanting the UK and France together to have more than 100 troops remain between them. So essentially, the plan is to have more UK and French troops than American troops. I'm not sure that the UK and France will be very happy about that.
Have Britain and France come out and said anything on the record in terms of signaling their intentions and how long they may remain committed to the fight there?
For as long as ISIS continues to pose a threat, there is commitment from the partners in the anti-ISIS coalition to stay, but the concern is about in what capacity and until when. The compromise statement of saying actually now 400 US troops will stay is being seen, at least by France publicly, as a step in the right direction. We are yet to hear a public statement from the UK about this. Behind closed doors, of course, there's concern about timelines, but I think ultimately it shows that neither the UK or France want to do this on their own, but at the same time they are very committed to the anti-ISIS coalition.
I have one last question, and it's a legal question, because the legal basis for both the US and the European presence in Syria is a United Nations Security Council resolution which says they can operate in areas under ISIS control to try to eradicate ISIS safe haven. If ISIS is eradicated, if ISIS loses all its territory, is there a legal basis for this force to stay?
Yes, absolutely, because we are not yet there with eradicating ISIS. All that's happened is that ISIS has lost the territory it has controlled, but ISIS itself is not eradicated. It is far from defeated. It still has thousands of fighters in that area alone.
That's not a safe haven.
Yeah, well, the underground hiding areas for the leaders of ISIS, you know, are more or less safe havens because they're allowing it to conduct a higher number of insurgent attacks than ever before against the anti-ISIS coalition inside Syria. This group is now an insurgency similar to how Al-Qaeda was in its heyday. It is operating on the basis of opportunistic attacks and will continue to do so.
Spending bill this month, it left out money for hurricane relief. As NPR's Greg Allen reports, that reinforced some people in the region's sense that they've been forgotten.
In Panama City, Mexico Beach, and other areas on the Panhandle, even 4 months after the storm, local governments are still struggling to collect debris. But officials are concerned they're no longer getting much national attention. Panama City Mayor Greg Nickey says additional disasters and other major news stories from the California wildfires and the government shutdown pushed the recovery from Hurricane Michael out of the public consciousness.
These new events supplant the ones that occurred before. Ours, the storm did occur. You know, I mean, we are still. Also, you have Florence, disasters